Safwan from Beirut, welcome and appreciate you speaking with us. To start out with, I mean, so many people have dramatic, almost unimaginable, at least, you know, to us sitting here, stories about how they experienced the explosion. Just take us through what you and your family experienced.
Thank you for having me first. I don't live inside the city in Beirut, so the last thing we expected is that we would feel an explosion as big hit in different areas in Lebanon. The aftermath of the explosion around me is almost recognizable. What we felt at home was that the whole house was shaking at first when the first explosion happened, and then when the second explosion happened, a few of us actually flew across the hallway. And we live in a relatively sided area, and not actually in the middle of the city of Beirut. It was shocking. It was traumatizing, especially that every single person in Beirut and its suburbs felt as if this explosion occurred right under their house.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, you know, the people there are so resilient between wars, assassinations. You've lived through so many disasters and unrest. So how does this one compare?
Well, right now, I think that all of us are very hesitant in using the word resilient, because all of us are feeling helpless, and we don't know where to start picking the pieces from. We understand that we've been resilient for years, but when something like this happens, to top an economic crisis, we thought that that was it for us with the economic crisis in Lebanon. And then this happened. So all of these tiny bits of resilience that Lebanese have were also shattered across the country with this explosion. It's very hard to pick up the pieces, and you could feel sadness overcomes positivity in every single way in this country today. And that's very sad to see for people who were so motivated to stay in Lebanon and to do whatever they can to save it before this explosion.
I mean, that sadness, you wrote about that eloquently. I want to read you back something you wrote. Today, most Lebanese have no faith that this political class or government will bring any sort of justice to Lebanon. This catastrophe could be a new trigger to revolt or a new reason to surrender to total helplessness. This time, there is no place in between. I mean, that seems like a very bleak assessment. Neither option, quite frankly, seems positive. Do you think one is more likely than the other?
I know for certain that every single Lebanese person, regardless of the political differences, is more than sad at the moment. Everyone is angry. I'm just, as every Lebanese, I am hoping that Lebanese and us would put this into action, because really this is the last trigger. To live in a city, and I've been thinking about this for hours, we've been living in a city that is a ticking time bomb for years. Since 2014, 2015, when this shipment was saved in Lebanon, was put aside in Lebanon in the port, no one said anything about it. So it could have been any of us at any moment for all of these years. You feel that you're not actually alive because you could have died any moment, and you were just lucky. Lucky between brackets, because are we really lucky to be alive among all of this destruction? We're hoping that this would really push people to demand more than justice, to demand answers and transparency that would put every politician into its place and hold them responsible for what they have done. Because this is something that we didn't do as Lebanese. So this was the aim of this conclusion that I wrote in my piece.
Well, listen, I wish something gives you a bit more hope in the next coming days and weeks, and we certainly hope that you know, you can bounce back indeed. Thank you so much for speaking with us, Luna Safwan in Beirut. We really appreciate it. We're going to